Palantir, the most interesting company in the world, yet no one has ever heard about it, finally went IPO today. And I've been waiting 8 years for this day to figure out if I made the dumbest decision of my life on this company. And the results are in. I lost 450 grand. How did this happen? Don't worry, I'm going to give you all the juicy details, so feel free to take pleasure in my suffering. Palantir is a secret organization that hires the best of the best computer programmers in the world, many of them from Stanford University, to get this, to fight terrorists. It's true. And for some reason, no one knows or cares about this. But if you're a skilled programmer, you probably do already know this, because Palantir is respected as the most prestigious and difficult company to get a job at for people with computer science degrees. Yes, more difficult than Google, than Apple, than Facebook, wherever. And more Stanford graduates, whose campus is across the street from Palantir headquarters, by the way, more Stanford graduates would take a job offer from Palantir than Google. And boy, does Palantir make fighting terrorists and saving the world sexy. The perks there are legendary. I was told a story once of how their people operations team goes to extreme lengths to make their employees happy. Apparently, there's this notepad where you can write any request in it. And one time, an employee requested these special oysters that could only be found in Japan. And guess what? The ops team went ahead and got them. The daily perks are a tier above companies like Google as well. I stopped by Palantir one day for a regular lunch, and I had the best Indian food of my life there. And you know, Google has great free food too, but this was on another stratosphere. Everything at Palantir is free, by the way, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I even stopped by their free snack bar, and it was just the best, the most unhealthiest, the most expensive snacks possible. It was amazing. It was like a dream. Of course, on top of all that, you get free laundry to and from your desk, free oil changes, free massages, chiropractors, physicians, the list goes on and on and on. The perks are the absolute greatest in the world, and yes, it somehow makes all other top tier tech companies look like slums. This all comes at a price though, of course. Palantir is not shy to tell you that you're going to work twice as hard there as you would anywhere else. I mean, that's what these perks are for, right? To keep you in the office. But you take those perks and you combine that with the mission of making the world a better place by stopping terrorists, and well, people eat that up. And it sure beats, selling advertisements for more money. And that was the mindset I had 8 years ago when I applied for a job at Palantir. I just wanted to save the world by stopping terrorists. In fact, the first job I ever applied to was my dream job, and it was for the CIA. But I remember when I turned in my resume to the CIA recruiter, they told me I had to actually have people skills to be successful there. And so I was very swiftly rejected. But now I saw Palantir as basically the CIA for programmers and with better pay and better perks. So I went all in on my job application. True story. Every day for 2 weeks, I'd log into LinkedIn and click on the profiles of every single recruiter at Palantir so that when they logged in, they'd see my profile. And it worked. Then one day, one of the recruiters reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me to apply. It was literally one of the greatest moments of my life. I remember I was driving in my car when I got the message, and I just stopped, pulled over, and smiled. And from there, the interview process was the most interesting interview process ever. One part of the interview process was to literally find a terrorist. They give you access to their products, and you're supposed to gather intel on the bad guys, see who's in their circles, then nab this high profile terrorist. It wasn't real, of course, but it was the most fun I've ever had in an interview. And I remember when I caught that terrorist, it felt like everything I had done in my life was in preparation for this role. The rest of the interview was extremely difficult. 8 years later, I still think about the problems they gave me and wonder how I passed because I'm very sure I botched them. And the interview ended with the most grueling interview of all. You're put one on one in an interview with the founder of the company. I remember making it to the last part of the interview and being put in a room with about 20 other people who were waiting to talk to the founder. And everyone there was dressed in suits. I thought I was at a wedding. And here I was, in jeans and a free t-shirt, dressed like a scrub like I am right now, waiting to talk to the founder. But I was probably the only person in the room there who had done their homework, because I had already studied the founder, Stephen Cohen, and I knew he once said, you could tell the quality of an engineer based on how unstylish the clothes they were wearing were. And so I went in dressed like a slob and I got the job. Here's the job offer they gave me. $120,000 base salary with 40,000 shares of stock options. And if you've ever gotten a job offer with stock options, you really have no idea how much they're worth. 40,000 stock options could be a lot, it could be a little. But fortunately, they included this handy little chart to tell you how much those options would be worth based on the company's valuation. And today, Palantir went IPO, and immediately their stock went up 30%, giving them a valuation of about $21 billion. So, according to their handy dandy little chart, my 40,000 shares in Palantir are worth about $450,000. This is real whiskey, by the way. And I think if I got that IPO money, I would have bought something more expensive. Anyways, that's how I lost $450,000 on Palantir's IPO. And it hurts a little more knowing that had I worked there for the entire 8 years, I would have gotten a lot more than the initial 40,000 shares. It wouldn't be out of the picture to get double or triple that. But you know what? I hope Palantir continues to do well and the stock continues to climb, even if it means I lose a lot more money. Because despite some of the negative press the company gets, Palantir is still a dream company for me in a lot of ways. To me, it's kind of like the girl who got away. And I ended up marrying that girl, so who knows what'll happen in the future. Do I regret turning down that job offer? It's hard for me to say because you don't know how things would turn out had you taken it. But assuming things would have turned out similarly, then yes, I do regret it. And deep down in my heart, I think I was scared that I really just wasn't good enough, or maybe that the offer was a fluke. And I think I was also scared to work really hard towards something, even if it was my dream. But that's not something I can change now, anyways. I guess the $450,000 lesson here is if you get a job offer at your dream company, you should just take it, even if you could get paid more elsewhere. The feeling of regret you might have is just too painful. Because if things work out great at your dream company, that's fantastic. You have a great job and you make great money. But if things don't work out great, at least you can look back and say you followed your heart and that you have no regrets. Because otherwise you might forever wonder, what if? Thanks for watching this video and I'll see you next time.